Finance Minister Arun Jaitley today said the NDA government has restored the credibility of the economy. Briefing media on the achievements of his ministry in the last 3 years, Mr. Jaitley said the Narendra Modi-led government has shown decisiveness and ability to take difficult decisions. He said the system which NDA government inherited was weak in terms of credibility, mainly due to corruption and indecisiveness. The Finance Minister said his ministry took several initiatives to reduce scope for corruption and discretion in governance.
वो व्यवस्थाएं जिसकी वजह से भ्रष्टाचार होता था, उन व्यवस्थाओं को बदलना, उसमें विशेष रूप से गवर्नमेंटल डिस्क्रिशंस को जहां तक समाप्त किया जा सकता है समाप्त किया जाए आर्थिक विषयों में.
Mr. Jaitley also said that 7 to 8% GDP growth is a fairly reasonable level of growth and very good by global standards. He pointed out that last 3 years were challenging for the entire world on economic front and monsoon was also bad. The Finance Minister said there was slowdown in policy reforms and structural changes in India 3 years ago. Speaking on demonetization, Mr. Jaitley said greater movement towards digitization and an increase in taxpayers' base are some of the benefits of the move.
Demonetization के माध्यम से अर्थव्यवस्था एक पहलू ऐसा था जिसमें सरकार ने एक नया नॉर्मल क्रिएट किया और जो एक व्यवस्था थी कि बहुत बड़ी कैश इकोनॉमी बिना किसी अकाउंटेबिलिटी के, उस व्यवस्था को समाप्त करने का एक बहुत बड़ा कदम है और इसके 3 स्वाभाविक लाभ हुए. First, there is a greater movement towards digitization. Second, the taxpayers' base itself has increased. And thirdly, a message has gone home loud and clear that it's no longer safe to deal in cash.
The minister said GST will usher in a revolution in taxation administration. He said it is like a tax cut which will reduce inflation and stimulate consumption. Congress Vice President Rahul Gandhi has criticized the government for the decline in GDP growth and rising unemployment. In a tweet, Mr. Gandhi said every other issue is manufactured to distract people from this fundamental failure. Prime Minister Narendra Modi and Russian President Vladimir Putin will attend the 18th Indo-Russian Summit at St. Petersburg today. Both leaders will hold discussions at the Oval Hall of the Constantine Palace. The meeting is being held in accordance with the Declaration of Strategic Partnership between India and Russia in October 2000, calling for the mechanism of annual summits. Mr. Modi and Mr. Putin will also meet the CEOs of important industries in the evening. Earlier in the day, the Prime Minister paid homage at the Piakorovsky Cemetery to those who perished during the siege of Leningrad. New Delhi has said Mr. Modi's visit to Russia will further consolidate the partnership between the two countries. Talking to our correspondent in St. Petersburg, External Affairs Ministry spokesperson Gopal Bagle said Mr. Modi and the Russian President will review the entire gamut of bilateral relations and discuss several issues.
Russia-India relationship is a very strong relationship. It's a privileged strategic partnership. This will be further consolidated. There are very specific cooperation in civil nuclear areas, in defense, in science and technology, in all spheres of activity. And the two leaders will review it and will take decisions for further consolidating this partnership.
Our correspondent covering the Prime Minister's visit reports that both countries enjoy a special strategic partnership at almost all sectors, and building a strong partnership with Russia is one among the highest priorities of India's foreign policy.
Furthering the relationship, today will be the signing of many agreements and memorandum of understanding relating to economy, trade and science and technology among many others. India has been celebrating the 70 years of friendly relations by holding film shows, cultural events, seminars, exhibitions, conferences, interactions between universities and media exchanges. Recently, Ustad Shujat Khan and Shillong Chamber Choir had rendered a scintillating performance in the country. With Manas, Joy, reporting from St. Petersburg for AIR News.
In Jammu and Kashmir, Pakistani firing in Krishna Ghati sector along the LOC in Poonch district today left a General Engineering Force GREF Jawan killed and 4 injured. Official sources said 3 GREF personnel, a BSF Jawan and a civilian were injured in the shelling. The GREF Jawan later succumbed to injuries. Our correspondent has filed this report.
Defense spokesperson told AIR Jammu that forces across the line of control started unprovoked firing and shelling targeting